Uh, okay, welcome to the second talk on Padgett Messages. And today's talk is on soulmate. That was sent by, that was prescribed by, wait, hold on, I'm just trying to pull it up. Helen, November 26, 1918, to James, to a soulmate James. And Michael he's a Padgett Messages guy. Anyway, he sent me some notes about this messages. Michael, can you explain what you were mentioning? I think you're mentioning about the pink stuff, right?
Yes. So when you were reading this in the am I live? Yes, I'm not muted. Okay. In the graph that begins, again, this law of attraction operates in other directions. Did you notice that there was a sentence I call it clunky. It didn't make sense.
It's Old English, so when I read it, I kind of suspend logic just to get in the flow of what they're trying to say. Because English is like my third language, so the way I learned it was you just stay with the meaning, not the literal grammar or whatever. But yeah, I'll take your word for it.
So it looked. I know words can get dropped when they go from the typed copy to the typesetter, and especially if there's spirit influence on the typesetter, things can get dropped. So I found something that didn't make sense, so I was able to go back and check it. And so I'm able to add about a dozen words that have been dropped from the original message. And this error wasn't caught earlier. So on AJ's site and on the Jeff's Cutler's site, they don't have it. And while I was there, I also saw that there were a couple of words that were changed by the typist. So in the process of Padgett getting messages, the way I understand it, he'll receive a message. He'd usually have a friend with him, like Dr. Stone or Eugene Morgan. So they'd be there with him. And those guys had ministries or work too with the angels, and he would get messages for them. So when you see later there's mention of Mary in this message. That's Dr. Stone's soulmate, Mary Kennedy.
Right.
So what happens is Padgett receives this message, and we can show you what it looks like because I sent the original to Dharm.
Right.
And then he makes a very nice transcription. He has really good handwriting. So the second old message that you see will be Padgett's own writing.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me pull that up because that's quite impressive. Those handwritings are so let me okay, I'm trying to figure out how to open that in the email. So I think I'll try to share the email itself that you sent me, and then will it be this one? Yeah. So this is the email Michael sent me. And then I think, is this what you meant by his handwriting?
This is the original message. This is how Helen wrote to him.
Okay. And then
that's his transcript.
Oh.
And sometimes Dr. Stone would make a copy, and his handwriting is a little different. And Eugene Morgan's is different too. Then it gets typed. So this was probably typed in the 60s or 70s, 60s maybe.
Wow.
And so on this page that you're on, let's see, go up a little higher.
Go up.
I think that's it.
This is the one? This is the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look back and find the words, so like the word seeing in this paragraph is really sensing in what Padgett received. And where it says human relationships here, the original was human relationship.
Singular.
And then I think in a following graph, he also uses the phrase human relationship. So I think he's talking in a general sense. And then I think there's one more word that had an error in it.
Let me pull up the one you sent me with the correction. That will help us see. There it is. So these are the corrections Michael has made here. So you've already corrected it.
So the seeing should be sensing.
That is okay.
The dissembling should be dissemblance.
Then,
Then in the relationships, it should be human relationship.
yeah.
And then the pink that's above, the salmon that's above that, those words got dropped. Maybe the typesetter, their eyes dropped a line because they were just copying it and then just accidentally they dropped down to the next line.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
The
Wait,
other stuff is
can you
my
go
own.
back to the pink?
Pink.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I want to write that down.
Okay. Yeah, so I can actually forward Michael's email to you guys so you can all see what we're looking at here. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you guys. I just gotta know who's on this page, so people who ask will get it, not everybody wondering why they're getting this email. Okay. Is that good?
And there's one other note in that email that was an LOL moment for me.
Right.
The name of the file is different from the way that so years ago I scanned a lot of messages, and my naming style was different from what this is. So I didn't remember if I actually scanned this one or not. So I went up to the top and actually on the first page of the typed copy, I recognize my note on the side, like somebody who had read this thought that they needed to put the word who in. And I said, and I made a note, I saw that and I checked the original and said, no, it's not in the original. And so I could recognize my handwriting. So, and then, but anyway.
Pull it up again. I'm having trouble with it. I'm trying to pull it up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, right here.
Scroll down. Then we'll go down to that message and we'll see it. It's the type, one of the two typed ones. So this is the first page.
That's what you said.
Yeah, the typed messages. So go a little lower.
Okay.
There.
Oh, that's you who wrote that?
Somebody wrote who, and I checked the original because who wouldn't make sense there. And I just made a note and I didn't have to do anything because it didn't make it all the way into print. But that let me know that this message that I found for this group, I had seen it years ago.
That's incredible how it all comes back. Michael's legacy is back.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So Grace made it. That's a minor miracle happening right there. I don't know why she's been blocked from it coming on. So let's start the discussion. And so what's the overall message did for all of you when you read? And what I was impressed by was that Helen's message is very intricate, very clear, very systematic. I'm like, as a medium, to get that level of clarity in your message, like, whew, I was blown away. But what's your impression of Helen's message here overall? Virginia?
For me, it's impressing more and more of how important this relationship is with your soulmate, and that receiving God's divine love goes hand in hand. It opens this relationship, and it seems like there's other doors that will open for you, or gifts that things will be more closed and there's be opportunities if you pursue this.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Okay.
but I didn't really see it being as important. It's like, yeah, I can just do that when I'm in spirit.
A romantic thing to do, whatever. That's my option.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not that at
Okay.
all. It's the other part of you. This is part of me. This other person is part of me.
Okay. Yeah. Jill.
I along with what Virginia said, I got how important it is. It's, you know, like no other relation or no other relationship is, I'm going to use the word valid. I don't know if that's the right word, but no other relationship is valid. The
Right.
only one that really matters, there's two relationships that matter. One is your soulmate, and the other one is divine love.
Right.
Like your relationship with God and your relationship with your soulmate, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's like that sort of that weight of it. I
Yeah.
think I glossed over, and then kind of coming back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that weight, because everything else goes away. Like
She
you
says that.
like she
All other
says,
relationships are going to be,
everything else goes away.
yeah. Even though those relationships are very important in what she says in the early part of in your earth life, those relationships are going to help you cope and survive earth life, from what she said. But yeah, what else? Adrian?
Well, I get kind of mad. I'm mad at it, obviously,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, it's the most important, relationship besides God. And like, why is it so friggin' hard to then get that relationship while we're on the earth plane? Like, if it's so important,
Yeah.
then why is it so hard? And
Yeah.
like, why do we have to wade through all the other muck?
Yeah.
And all these like not super important relationships in the grand scheme of things to like get there. And
Yeah.
like nobody really talks about that. Like
Yeah.
the in between. They're like, it's great when you get there.
Yeah.
And these relationships, your earth relationships are fine, but like nobody talks about like when the in between of when you know you have a soulmate and you can't have them, or you haven't found them yet, or like. And I'm like, can somebody talk about the in-between and tell me, like, I'm tantruming about that and have been for a
Grace
while.
sent a big vote of that. She's with you in that one. Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, if Jess, go ahead.
No, please finish your thought.
Okay. Well, Jesus had mentioned that even oh, Susie, don't add to the fire. She said, oh, your soulmate's already married. Ah, kill me now. Lots of blocks there. But Jesus had said that even, I think if I heard him correctly, even at fifth sphere, where you can actually see the cord between you and your soulmate, and you follow the cord and you find the other person, you'll then go, okay, and you walk away. Like even then you're like, yeah, nah. So there's, I mean, so many injuries around this, right? And also I feel like because Earth parents have children out of addictions, if you're focused on your soulmate, you're not going to be meeting all other addictions. So then they hijack that love that you should have for your soulmate for families and cultures and other addictive reasons. So you've been hijacked. That's the word I use for it. When actually, one time my guides, they gave me a feeling that you, as a child, you're supposed to be loved, not love others, because you're a child, you're learning. You're supposed to be loved, and your first awakening to love another is when you meet your soulmate and something wakes up in you. That was the ideal, and that image, that feeling has stayed with me ever since. But that's a lot of injuries there. A lot of injuries. Virginia?
question that came up while you were talking then is like, okay, the relationship is important, but is what's really important is to really feel the love for them, or
Right.
the awareness and the love for them,
Right.
or not so much that you're going to have the relationship, is it?
Beautiful questions. This was my motto from last week. We're gonna have, what was it? What was the word, Adrian? Your niece used it on the mother the next day. Conflict, not resolution. Question, no answers. That's it. That's my motto. So couple of things going on there. Because yes, the ideal is to love your soulmate without expecting anything in return. You can easily find 200 addictions right there. And yet Helen always tells James, you need to love me, because in the act of loving your soulmate, the soul grows. Something happens to the soul. So she's always telling him, you need to love me, which was misinterpreted as neediness, but it wasn't. And I can't find a recording where they discuss this. But it's an act of growing the soul. So when you love your soulmate in whatever way you can, your soul is growing, you are growing. So there's something there that I've heard of. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to learn from our guides who are with their soulmates. Teach us what's going on. Michael?
I've got two comments. One is that really loving our soulmate is loving ourselves. So
Right.
as we love ourselves, we will love and attract our soulmate.
I feel that because Jesus has spoken about connecting to the soulmate aspect of your soul and opening it. There's a soulmate aspect in your soul, an appendage or something that has to be opened. So I feel like there's something, or should I say, love of God, love of self, including soulmate, love of community, like everybody else, and then love of environment. Those are the 4 loves. So I think we're both right. Yes, you got to love yourself, but then there is a soulmate aspect of your soul that needs to be awakened.
But if I don't know my passions, if I don't love myself, if I don't think I'm worthy of being loved, then I'm like rejecting myself, and I would reject the other part of me because that's exactly like me.
Oh, I really want to ask our guides these questions. These are good ones. Like, I don't want to guess. I'd rather stay open to going, somebody talk to me about this. That's a really good question. Because in the mediumship on Soulmate that they did, Mary channeled a guide, Rachel, about Soulmate Talk, where they really talked about really embracing all your emotions and really engaging your passion and desire, because that's you becoming you. And somehow that's probably an act of love too. Judith, and then maybe Jess.
Yeah, I was just kind of agreeing with what Michael said too, because you can actually repel your soulmate with your feelings, I would assume. If I have lack of worth, my soulmate will like not want to have anything to do with me.
And if you have non-complementary addictions.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have that, you know. And also the thing I have to point out, I don't know if you guys have discussed soulmate before, is this the first time, or that, you know, the Padgett Messages obviously doesn't mention same-gendered soulmates, right? And so that's kind of something that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
On that actually today.
Thank you for that, Judith. Yeah, a soul that is then split in half can be of 2 different gender or the same gender. Absolutely. 2 male, 2 female half. Absolutely. Yeah. And Jess, did you have a comment?
I was just echoing Adrian's tantrum, and that like that is where I'm at. But like I think seeking justification for my anger, and so yeah, probably facade, but it's like the thing that Jesus said about there's no reincarnation, because a loving God would not create this system. And so I'm in like, this system is not loving to me. I am so mad at this fucking system. And if that was the justification of no reincarnation, then what the hell is the justification for this?
For soulmate?
Yeah.
What feels unloving about it? Let's name it.
The discomfort, well, of like the absence of them.
Oh,
Why, like, if there's no reincarnation, because you coming back here and not remembering all these things, then if that's part of myself and I don't know who they are, like I don't have any understanding of that,
yeah.
that feels unloving to me. And so
Well,
there's
our
lots of
injuries that created the separation, because I think in an ideal world, if kids are allowed to be in their emotions and parents are owning their emotion, I think soulmates would find themselves by the time they're 10. They already found each other. They would already be attracted to each other. That I feel is the ideal, is what God did design. That is what I feel. So this is all human mess again.
Mhm.
When we're seeking for addiction instead of the soulmate love and all of that. But no, I mean, it's valid. Staying in that tantrum.
And I can see that like my tantrum, like if I really want to be honest about it, which maybe only in this moment is kind of breaking through, is that it's my own addictions. Like I'm angry because my addictions are not being met. And so then
Exactly.
whole stupid process is
Yes.
revealing to me the addictions that I don't want to feel about. And
Yeah.
in that way, maybe it is loving, but I don't want to admit that because I'm
Yeah.
pissed off.
Absolutely.
Her. And then further to what Judith was saying, then like, what about non-binary people and all of that? And like, as we evolve and those conversations are emerging, then
Yeah.
what about that?
Well, according to Mary and Jesus, that's created by parents' injuries. The gender confusion, yeah, that's all. I mean, I have personal involvement with this kind of injuries I've created my kids, so it's a tough one. But according to them, you are male or female. And if your other half is also male and you're male, then that's same sex. If your other half is the other gender, then it's considered straight. But it's as straightforward as that. But then the feminine and masculine expression is whatever your true nature is. So if you're the female half, then whatever your expression is will be your feminine expression, however it looks like from the world's perspective, and vice versa. That's what I've learned. But parents, grandparents were creating a lot of injuries that then create mix-ups and spirit influence, and it's a mess. And I try to remember that these children are the consequence. They're experiencing the consequence. They're already stuck in that, in those mix-up. You can't really. I don't want to be mad at them. I don't want to reject them. I created the mess. I'm part of the contribution. Yeah, that's a messy one. And then Susie and then Judith. Susie?
I just wanted to share my thought about God's love in relation to soulmates. Who was talking earlier? Judith, just now?
Yeah. Or Jess.
Judith.
Yeah,
Jess.
okay.
Jess. Yeah, because I've been thinking about this and feeling about this for several years now, as I have been listening to Jesus and Mary. And it came to me in one of my releases how loving the soulmate relationship, this whole design is, because if there's only one other half of you, that completely eliminates all of the rigmarole of trying to find this other half through all these other relationships. If you
Right.
know that from the beginning,
Yeah.
you can totally dispense with all of the heartache of dating and
Yeah.
because you pray to God for God's love. And in that relationship with God, you automatically attract your other half. I mean, how that's so much easier than what we do right now.
Right.
When you don't know that you have another half.
They
You're
still
searching, right. And then I have 6 sisters. So, you know, that eliminates the whole having feeling like you're taking someone away from somebody else.
Right.
Right? You know,
Right.
that whole thing where 2 sisters are attracted to the same guy. Well, if you know that you have one half that you belong with, nobody else in the whole world,
Need to
that
find
no need to have any of that.
Yeah.
None, it's totally gets eliminated. So much of the heartache that we experience right now with sexual relationships are completely eliminated
It does make
by the soulmate. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And Judith?
Yeah, I was going to say that one of the issues that people have with soulmates is like an absence of control. Like I don't pick it, you know, it's being forced on
It's
me.
arranged marriage.
Yeah.
No, I got no say. I know. I tantrumed about it. It's gone
Yeah.
now. It's like, oh, thank God I don't have to think about it. Like Susie said, somebody's already been made for me. Oh, what a relief. But yeah, it took me years of getting over like arranged marriage. Seriously, I worked so hard to get away from that culture and finally have freedom of choice just to get back into it.
But I'm realizing, because I kind of had some emotional work a couple of days ago where I feel like I made a little progress, and I started to realize that control is just a way to stay in our heads and to not. So as long as we're controlling, we're in our heads, we're not feeling. But if we were truly feeling people, we would feel our soulmate immediately.
Yeah. Well, my experiment that I've been doing is that I want to know who I am. I want to know what my true nature is, because then I will recognize the other. That's the experiment I've been doing, because I have a lot of spirits constantly telling me who, what, and I say, you know what? I'm not listening to nobody. I will decide who's my soulmate is, because I will recognize me in them. That was my thing.
Yeah.
And I may potentially know who this person is now, who rejected me. And I'm telling you, soulmate rejection is
So you met your soulmate, and then
yes, I suspect. I'm kind of going, oh, I think I know who he is, and he rejected me. Ooh. And then I closed my heart to him. So I don't know. I think I've done 200 times worse damage than he ever did. Potentially, I don't know. I'm just gonna let myself grieve and grieve and grieve and grieve, and then once that is done, it'll become clear.
And I just wanted to mention one thing about the gender issue, or gender expression, you know.
Yeah.
Today, I think is Transgender Day of Remembrance.
Okay.
I feel kind of sad because these people have been murdered.
Yeah.
It's very sad anyway. But I feel like people are acting a certain gender based on what they feel gender is in 2023, as opposed to what gender actually in reality is.
Or what your true nature is in expressing that gender. Because
Right.
it's a variable, like we're all unique expressions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who you really are.
Yeah. But some of the expression is facade and based on what people think, like a male is control, or a male takes charge, a male takes care of the female, you know, women are weak. There's all sorts of misconceptions, I think, that lead to emotional injuries.
And then I created a facade that I'm a tough woman to compensate for the whole I'm weak. So then, you know, you add more layer to that. And
so
yeah, I'm trying to be as compassionate as possible about just that they are victims of everybody else's injuries, and that you know, I'm just basically praying, God, teach me how to love them like you are. I gotta cope with that. So there's a lot to learn about love here, while we patiently keep working on whatever injuries we've got brought forward. So this is interesting. Hold on, Jill. We're bringing up that soulmate issues will bring up gender-based injuries. If your soulmate is the other half, or even if it's the same half, if you have injuries with that gender parent, say you're male and your soulmate's male, and you have a lot of injuries with your dad, then I'm assuming that will show up quite a bit. Jill?
I have 2 points. One is, can you please repeat the experiment that you just said that you do on your true nature? You said you experiment.
Yeah, okay, that, and then what was the other
Okay.
thing?
If you could repeat that, that'd be great. I just kind of wanted to go off of what Susie was saying about, we would just know, we'd be able to recognize. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that we have just one soulmate and that we'd be able to recognize them. A whole bunch of justifications or a whole bunch of addictions came up, and I really
Right.
got to see that how much our addictions and how much our influences overshadow that. Like, it's
Yeah,
like you can't even see the beauty of it because of our addictions. Like, I still really want this to be a beautiful thing, and I want the fairy tale, right? And that's
yep,
right. I still want that. And even though I know it's not true and it's a lie and whatever else, but
yep.
that's what I want. That's what I'm hanging on to.
And
And that
using that an
addiction is hanging over.
advantage because you're no longer in denial about it.
Yeah.
Like Justice speaking, she's not in denial of like this is what's going on. Not being in denial, I feel, is like more than half the battle right there. You
Yeah.
know it.
Well, of course, yeah, always.
Huge.
Yeah, it's like it's like a push-pull. It's, I have days, or I shouldn't say days. I have seconds where it's like, yes, I want my soulmate. And then I have full days where it's like, no, I don't want my soulmate. And then I have days, yes, I do, or I have seconds that I do want it. So it feels like almost like a push-pull at this stage where I'm at, like a push-pull of,
Okay.
yes, I want a soulmate. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't.
Well, here's the thing. I think I was at the 2016 talk when Jesus said, he said that soulmate attraction, because you basically, join at the hip or something. Like you are one soul with this idea of separation, but you're together all the time. Your souls are, together all the time, and it wants to find each other. So how much energy are you pouring into push? All you have to do is stop pushing and you're just gonna clunk. Like, just stop pushing somebody away. So we're putting, he's under something like how much energy you're putting in. He's like, it's quite impressive that we are so good at pushing the one thing that's always trying to find each other again. Like, it's remarkable. Imagine putting that much energy elsewhere. Like, wow. So that was what that brought up for me. So the fact that to recognize that I don't want my soulmate is you recognize what you are doing. Because if you didn't have that emotion, you would be. Like, you would find each other. So it's worth the time trying to figure out why I don't want my soulmate. And there was another, so the other question you asked earlier, Jill, is there another point to this? You want to make another point, Jill, or was that it?
No. I just wanted to, I just wanted to write down your experiment on your true nature.
Yes. Well,
and I think I
okay,
missed
well,
half of it.
basically, I'm just saying, okay, so when you start working on addiction, you get rid of your addiction. Then you start getting glimpses of your true self under it, while working through all that traumatic experience and getting rid of addiction in order to cope, like what we talked about in September retreat. You start to discover parts of your real self, and then you start expressing that parts of real self. And as you do, you're like, oh, is that who I am? And because of it, when you meet the other, you will recognize the same nature. You will say, oh, I know that nature. That's me. That's what Jesus felt when he met Mary here again. He's like, I know that soul, because he know who he is. So I feel like that's what I decided to commit to, was I will decide who my soulmate is because I recognized him or her, because I know me. So by discovering parts of your real self and then really engaging it, you will then recognize the other versus the addictive attraction. Adrian.
Just a question that came in my mind, I think, when Judith was speaking about like feeling your soulmate. So let's theoretically say that my soul is open to soulmate, and but soulmate is very shut down emotionally,
Yeah.
theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, just theory.
Theoretically, just theory. And so can you feel somebody who is so shut down to not only others, but to themselves? Can you still feel that soul? Because I have a
think
second
so.
part to that.
Yeah, I think so. Because you're feeling yourself is very magnetic and energetic in truth. I think there's a lot of force in that you know who you are. And the soulmate is, the other half of you. I mean, that's you. I think it'd be very hard to try to shut that down when you meet the other. I think, I'm just guessing here. And Jesus did say, was it in the prayer talk, introduction to prayer? You can actually pray to God, God, can you please help my soulmate have a desire to deal with why they're blocked to the soulmate aspect of their soul? That God will answer that prayer. Yeah, if you read introduction to prayer, is that 2009? I keep talking about that talk every time. If you pray, please make my soulmate love me, no, right? That's just no. But if you pray, please help my soulmate start to work through his block to why he doesn't want to feel his soulmate connection, then that's a prayer in truth. That's something. So there's something about the soulmate connection, the soulmate aspect of your soul. It's a thing. And I think once you can open that, you can then feel like all the other attractions are like, ugh, no longer as attractive. Because that soulmate aspect of your soul, that attraction is very, very strong. It probably has a different punch to it. That word has caught my attention. This is such a lively conversation. I'm loving it. I think there's going to be part 2 and 3 because we haven't even started the document yet. What else? Michael?
When Judith was talking about about the same gender, I remember that Jesus said that the Apostle John was a gay soul.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that when I remembered that, it felt like he was present and he just hugged me a little bit. And it happened again. So I just mentioning that so you can tune into him and feel his love. And in the 2014 assistance group, there's an FAQ near the beginning, and there's a couple of questions about soulmates and addictions, I think. And I'll find that the date of it and put it on the side in the chat.
Well, I feel I'm gonna have to look this up now. The talk I had sent out to everyone about will ends up being soulmate connected. Let me just find it so I can share that particular talk. It just happened to be. Let me just open it up.
How many of you read something, you get to the end of the page, and then...
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to share this page. Okay. DivineTruth.com. If you go to the site button, resources, go to downloads, go to year 2016, 11th of March. This talk is about developing, about understanding my will. What is will? What is that about? So I sent it to a group of people going, we need to talk about will. But then somebody said, did you know, or Virginia said, did you know it's all about soulmate? So this has a lot of conversation about how you're using your will and how it affects your soulmate. That you can't help but influence. Everything you do affects your soulmates. It's like you're not independent. Whatever you do with your will is affecting your soulmate. So if you are growing towards God, if you are dealing with addictions, if you are, like Grace and I are always talking about, like, someday when we meet our soulmate, we're going to ask them, what was it like for you in this year, and this year, and this year? because Grace and I and most of us are consciously working on issues, it has to be impacting soulmate. And they probably are going, what the hell is going on? Like, why are we so riled up and triggered and all of that when, you know, at least I know what I'm doing, is this issue, is this topic, you know, I'm working on it. But I can only imagine how it's impacting the other half. And you start comparing the timelines and stuff like that. Virginia?
I have a question that keeps coming up, but there is
you mute.
something written about it, and it's like it's been said in Divine Truth that if you're not with your soulmate, then that is a sin that you're being with anyone else.
Right.
But to be alone is also that.
It gets really tricky. These are places
Like,
that
I don't get. Okay.
I know. We did remember we did a Q&A with our guides one time on soulmate issue. I don't think it's shared publicly. I think because some personal stuff came up in that. But we actually ask our guides, like, if you're not with your soulmate, if you're with somebody else, they have spoken about how, you know, if you go, I think Grace can speak to this, if it's about developing. Do you want to speak to that, Grace?
Yeah, I remember that Q&A. Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Yeah. Basically the answer I got, because I was with somebody at the time and I know he's not my soulmate, but basically the answer I got was, yes, I am committing a sin. There will be things that I have to repent for. There will be things that I am already forgiven for. But there were so many lessons in love that I learned from that relationship that really helped my growth in opening my soulmate aspect. Like, to be perfectly honest, I don't even know if my soulmate aspect is open right now. I like to think it is, but I don't know. But yeah, so yes, like it is. Yeah, I was sinning. I was sinning in that relationship the entire time. But the lessons that I took away from it, I mean, which isn't to say it was like it was worth it, because like I don't know, that's where I struggle. It's like, where's the balance between willfully sinning versus growing in love? Because I feel like both happened for me at the same time. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question at all. But
Yeah, it's the question is, I think that's been mentioning too, that you can be with somebody where you're consciously saying, we're not with our soulmates. We can learn, and we can learn to love. We can learn to work through our addictions, and over time, the attraction will change, and you'll attract your soulmate. And like, you can do this consciously, but then the feelings of, well, then am I supposed to end up alone? You can feel so much grief right there. So much grief can come up right there for you to work through. And then Susie had mentioned, what if that person has passed? Well, you can have a soulmate relationship with someone who has passed. But again, these are all theories for me. I'm just mentioning theories. They're not soul-based understanding for me yet. Susie had raised her hand, and then Jill. So Susie, and then yeah.
Yeah. My grandson woke up, so he's playing right now.
Oh, nice.
Just to answer that question, from my own experiences in regard to that, that Grace mentioned. Let's say you're with someone you know who's not your soulmate. God's still blessing you. It's like, not when you sin, it's not that God stops blessing you.
Yeah.
So even in that relationship, God is showing you in every way possible how you're sinning, why you're sinning, what's the cause of the sin.
Right.
So the relationship becomes the medium in which God can show you the aspects of the sin.
Exactly.
And the emotion that's driving the sin.
Yeah.
So yes, it's the sin. However, God's not going to say, "Oh, you sinned, I'm stopped blessing you." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna repent about it.
Oh.
That's part of what God's showing you. So yeah, God's showing me God's good. Even when you're sinning, you're being blessed.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all I had.
Absolutely. and the awareness of it and the acknowledgement of it, and watching, there was issues that Grace dropped through that were like so visceral and deep that I'm like, I don't know if she would have found them otherwise. Like the core issues that came through towards the very end, that was then like done. Woo! I never saw it coming. It was just like shocking.
Yeah, because God's using that relationship as the medium to get to those emotions. You know, that's one of the reasons why she attracted that relationship. Yeah, awesome. God's so good.
Thank you. And Jill, and then I think Michael is wanting to share something, but I listened to Jill first, and then I think Judith raised her hand. I've not seen this much in 5 minutes. Such a long time. My God, this is good. Jill?
We're all kind of passionate and angry about this. It's like,
Yeah.
damn it, I want to know, but I'm angry. And I don't want to know. Anyways, it's the soulmate support group.
Just type soulmate support group. Oh my God.
That's
We
awesome.
get assigned special guides for this. Okay, Jill, go ahead.
Yeah. I want the t-shirt.
Sorry, just to write out the typing. I gotta read this out. So, soulmate support group, once a month, everyone. Grace wants
I'm
a
in.
t-shirt. Okay. Another once a month group gonna start soon. Holy smokes, okay.
Okay.
Jill.
So I kind of feel I got the impression, and maybe this is wrong, I'm okay with that, that on the first page of the material that you sent, Mila, that it's the paragraph that starts these loves. They're talking about the earthly, I'm going to call it earthly, the earthly loves, like marriage and family and that kind of thing. So yeah, if you go in the early yeah, these loves, as I understand, are provisions of God, whereas actually it's highlighted there. I kind of took that as we have addictions, we have injuries, so God has allowed us to have loves outside of the soulmate love to be able to, and I think everybody else has said this as well, to be able to work on what you need to work on to be able to get to your soulmate. So it's kind of a roundabout way, but yes, it's a sin, but it is a roundabout way to be able to get to your soulmate so that you can work on addictions to what your soulmate should be like, what your codependency, your all of these
Absolutely.
other sort of things that you
Well,
need to be able to work on and release in order to be able to see your soulmate.
Well, like this group, right? We've known each other for quite a while now. We've been working on addictions. We've been working on supporting each other. We've been working on, like, we are helping each other cope with our difficulties on Earth life. So this is our small group, community group, our family, so to call it. And this is love. We're growing in love with each other, and it has a role. It has a huge role to play.
Yeah.
This is the preschool. You
Yeah.
learn not to hate anybody else. Naps are good for you. You know, all that kind of beautiful stuff you learn in preschool.
No biting.
No biting. So share.
Yeah.
Because
Because I
you don't
know,
want to. You can always have your favorite toy. You don't have to share with anybody.
yeah. Like I've learned a lot from the relationship that I'm currently in right at the moment. I've learned a lot. So and I don't think I would have learned those things if I wasn't in this relationship. And a lot of things have come up that are just absolutely gut-wrenching for me, that I wouldn't have gone through them, or I wouldn't have recognized them if I wasn't in this relationship.
Well, I think it's the motivation. If your motivation is, how can I grow in love? How can I, well, for me, it's I can't even grow in love yet. I got to get rid of addictions first. I got to stop not loving. I got to stop hurting people. Let's get rid of that first. If that's your motivation, because it's all about motivation. If that's your motivation, again, like Susie said, God is gonna milk that opportunity to the full. And that what I when I asked Helen, what do you want us to talk about? She said to emphasize the relationship, the earth-based relationship, don't disregard it as minimal. That's not what she meant. It's a huge support, huge role of that while we're on the earth plane, because it's tough to cope with the disappointments of earth life, as she called it. These are the relationships. And then we're always going, it's about the love, isn't it? And you're like, point of earth existence, figured out, it's about love. Like you're a win there. And then prepare you for all the rest of it. But then again, maybe if earth is in the second sphere, then, my fantasy is that a little 3-year-old girl see a little 7-year-old boy in the playground, or another girl, and go, I like you. What's going on? You're it. Found you. When I was visiting in Nova Scotia, my friend's niece is very mediumistic, and she's 7. And then I visited the other friend who has a very mediumistic 10-year-old boy, and I go, oh, what are the chances? Like, I want to be there when these two first meet. Like, a little plotting going on in the back of my head. And I was like, addiction, walk away, stop it. But it's just that feeling, my heart going, oh, what are the chances that those two already find each other at this age? They're kind of similar. Anyway, yes. So is that what you were trying to say about that, Jill? Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah,
then,
sorry. Yeah, it was that I had another point, but I think it's long gone.
we're gonna stay on this particular talk for a while. That's what I've decided. We're easily going to do another week of this, and if not, 2 more weeks of this. This is too exciting, too much happening. We may even start doing little experiments, talking to guides, prayers, something. We may even just grow from there. And then somebody else had raised their hand. Oh, Michael, do you want to talk about the talk you found?
A couple of things.
Okay.
I think children are purer, right? Better soul quality. So naturally, there's maybe a better chance that 2 children would be attracted to each other if they're soulmates. That's sweet. And that would be a real innocent love.
And the parents' injuries, because the parents are very involved in emotional work. So less injuries, interrupting, interfering, potentially.
And then going a little further on what Jill said, if you go to the paragraph above the one that says these loves, Helen writes that the love of a husband and wife is a beautiful thing.
Right.
And she does not come down on it.
Right.
She's not criticizing it. She's loving it.
Yep, absolutely there. The love of husband and wife is a beautiful thing. May exist during life on earth, bring much happiness. Like there's a lot going on here. And eventually it can get forgotten. But there's something very important about all of this. Temporal love. Yeah, good point.
Then in the Q&A that I sent you from the first assistance group, Paige asks a question, I think, about it's in the audience questions, and the participant asks, she says, can I just clarify something you said? And he says, sure. She says that having a sexual relationship with anyone other than your soulmate damages both halves of the soul. And he says, of course. And she says, so if you were married, and he says, have you never thought of that before? But so I'm teasing the content there for you, but Jesus was married, and then when he realized she wasn't his soulmate, he was single, and he just worked on his issues until he found Mary and knew. So it is okay to be alone and work on these things. And it's also possible in this discussion, you'll see that you can be with your soulmate but not recognize them, but you're with them for addictive purposes. And the only benefit there is that he says you're only damaging one soul and not 2.
Yep. Okay, so this talk is from the 2014 July 12th Group Truth Questions and Answers. So you can go to that talk and find this conversation. And then I also want to point out, people like me, I'm alone because I want to avoid soulmate issues. I'm alone because I'm locked in rage. Yeah, and there's a volunteer there. I think Jesus usually mentioned woman. That's what you're doing. And if the person I'm guessing is my soulmate, then it's a soulmate rejection. I just shut my heart down. 32 years just locked down, and it's taken me 9 years every day working on my blocks to find that part of me again and go, whoa, I completely forgotten this part of me. And now it's back open and I am not shutting it back down. But yeah, there are people who stay single because, you know, we're hurt and rejected and we're stuck in anger. And now I'm beginning to think like, if I've been in anger, what have my soulmate been feeling for 32 years from me? What have that done? Confronting. Judith, you had raised your hand, right?
Well, I kind of did, but I really didn't have anything, but now I just thought of something. And now it's leaving my mind. Anyway,
Nancy and then Michael. Sorry, Judith. If he comes back to you, maybe you write it down. I have to write stuff down right away or it'll be gone.
well, I was going to say my family, you know, no one in my family believes in soulmates. I've mentioned to my sister-in-law, I don't know a soulmate. We've all been single, but I realized that my parents, their marriage wasn't the happiest and they kind of married late in life. So I think my grandparents on my father's side was arranged marriage.
Okay.
So there's a lot of injury. Now, who knows what happened on even farther down the.
Stuff to feel about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Nancy.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on earlier. I think it was you, Judith, that had said something about about the sin, you know, to not would be with our soulmate. And then, of course, we talk more about the process of, you know, learning from relationships and that. But for me, it's I guess with what you just said, Mila, it just, you know, hit me because, you know, I felt justified in being alone, going, yeah, I'm doing the right thing, you know, because it's you know, and it's all just a big protection thing. But the other thing I realized is that maybe I think someone mentioned either intention or what was a different word you mentioned, Mila, about not intention, but whatever the word is about how you're coming at something. But for me, it's like, it's not like I've been seeking people, but they fall in my lap and I'm like, no, go away. And so to me, it's like, so I guess it's through our soul condition that we would, so if someone did drop in your lap, are we going to know that it's them? You know,
exactly.
I mean, why are these people showing up if it's a sin for me to engage? So I will do a little engaging and then go, okay, no, it's not right, or I'm shut down, you know, whatever. So that's part of where my question lies, is like, when the time does come, it's like, do we know? Based on what you said, Mila, do we actually know? Because we just know. Because if someone just comes, it's the law of attraction, right? If someone just shows up in your life and you don't go like searching and seeking for them, then it's like,
why,
you know, that thought comes, well, could they be like the soulmate? Because here they come. So I don't know. I thought I'd mention that because I am one in that category. If I'm perfectly happy being alone because it's safe, you know, and there's no drama.
I want to call out on that. It's not safe and it's not protection. I'm not lying about that to myself anymore. I'm angry.
It feels safe.
Angry. I know, but it's angry.
But you're right. It's a lot.
It's anger. I'm angry. And two, Jesus said there's actually a law that as you start working on your emotions, there is a law that soulmates will find each other. It is a law. So maybe you worked on other unrelated emotions that created the attraction, or your soulmates worked on his emotions or her emotions, so you got pulled. That could be happening. Two, it could be to shake up your denial, to shake you up, bring somebody to you to make you shake you up and get you out of the denial, the frozen state. That could be happening. At least you got your asking, are you my soulmate? And how do you know if that's your soulmate? Could be a very heated discussion time. That could take a while. That could be a good one to ask our guides and all that stuff. But the mediumship that Mary did Michael, do you know what year this is? It's probably one of the early years, if you can help me find it. That was a really good mediumship.
Was it with Rachel?
Yes.
I'll see if I can scan for her Rachel's name. They should mention it.
Okay. Okay. So that's that. And then you brought up a few other points there, Nancy, that I can't address at this point. I can't even talk to any of those at this point. I'm gonna move on to Virginia. If I got it right, was there somebody else before that? Oh, Judith? Sorry, Judith, do you want to?
I remembered it was that I want the soulmate to find me. You know, why did,
Yo!
so, and then I had some law of attractions based on that who just spoke. I didn't see her name. Anyway, then I was attracting these people in my life that liked me, but I didn't like them at all. And then I realized it's just all sorts of like addictions they wanted from me. And I was like, ooh, and it made me really angry, but that's what I was attracting. So it's like, okay, you want the person to come to you, here they come.
Okay.
It was
Well, when I first found out, because I had a dream, and then of course I was going to ignore it, but then just happened to talk to Grace about it. She just happened to ask about this something else. She'll bring it out of you. But anyway, I'm like, oh, I had a dream that this person I knew and I were getting married. And I go, wonder if he's my soulmate. I woke up going, oh shit, is he my soulmate? And my first reaction was, oh no, not him, please. Like, this is never gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. Oh God, can I please not this one? Somebody else, please. So, that was my reaction. I was like, no. So I think most of us will have like, yeah, please not. No. And then what happened in that conversation was I was like, I found him on Facebook once. Hold on, let me pull out his photo to show you. I pulled out the photo, saw his photo, and went boom, like, oh God, I'm attracted to him. Shit. So that's what my emotional reaction was like, oh, he's so attractive to me right now. Oh boy. Yeah, oh boy. So I'm exploring it, but there's a lot of grief that I need to let go regardless. So I can't go wrong. At the very least, I'll cry for 3 years and move on and find my soulmate or whatever. Who knows? Suppressed emotion has to be released. Who knows? But yeah, it's not a good outcome. That's my soulmate. So to me, at this point, I'm like, no, that's unfortunate. So somebody else had raised their hand, Virginia, and then Susie.
You mentioned that in fifth sphere, you can see the cord that connects.
And you can follow that cord to somebody else.
So can people see that? Can other people see that before the fifth sphere? Or is that just...
Well, okay, there's actually a whole Padgett Messages about this one.
What is that?
There's a book of soulmates where the names are written for each soulmate. But you have to be a very high celestial spirit to be allowed to see this book. I think Helen Padgett has a huge passion for this topic. So, but I think somebody then got back to me and said that if the soulmate though is in a relationship, then you will not be allowed to see it, or you'll not be allowed to know who it is. There's all this other stuff around it.
Right, I heard that it's if they're in a relationship,
with you,
that it wouldn't be loving to do that, so it's not done. So a celestial spirit would not tell you.
Yeah.
But if they're both like single or not, it's not going to hurt anybody to let them know that they are soulmates, that can happen.
Well, I feel like it's because I'm so mediumistic, I can be so manipulated by spirits who are happy to tell me who it is. For my own protection and integrity, I decided I need to be able to recognize my other half because I know who I am. Feels the safest thing to do for myself, to know who it is. And who else? Susie raised her hand, and then I think somebody else.
Yeah. A couple of comments ago, maybe 3 or 4 comments ago, I was still on that about sinning in a soulmate relationship. and I've been working on repentance. That was the first thing I started with, was working on repentance about how I raised my sons. So there's a bunch of intergender stuff. And just recently, as I've been working on this worthlessness, feeling and releasing worthlessness, all the soulmate stuff started to, and early family memories started to come to be recognized and worked through. A lot of anger, a lot of resentment that I chose to finally feel. And then what came to me is the first sin that I did against my sons, the children that came through me, was not being in my soulmate relationship. Okay, so this is huge. So if you're not in your soulmate relationship and you choose to have children,
Ouch.
that's going to be a huge repentance later down, just
Ouch.
throughout the entire relationship with that son or daughter of God. Okay, so that was huge.
I can concur, because I felt quite a bit of sadness that I didn't have children with that person, and how different would it have been if I've had children with that person and not with who I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if there were injuries with that soulmate, you work through them and stuff.
Wow.
But here I am with my grandson. You can see. Is he there?
Oh my God.
And that injuries passed down to them. Like, he's already got that. Yeah, with his mom and dad, because I didn't even know about soulmate relationships and passed that on. It's already in him.
Yeah.
However, the other day, or a couple weeks ago, he meets this little girl down the street.
Oh my God.
And they are, when he's with her, like when they were playing that day, I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, you
Wow.
can meet your soulmate at 2 years old. You can
Wow.
attract your soulmate at 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
I know. I don't know if she is or not, but the way that they were playing, they're holding hands and they're playing around and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I have been letting him experience his emotions when he's with me. So he's allowed to do that. But that was just one of the realizations I wanted to share, is that the repercussions of not being with your soulmate goes down throughout the entire lineage.
Wow.
Until those souls that came through you work through that themselves. So just let share that one with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, lots of kindness. Lots of injuries here to work through. I mean, imagine that us talking in this conversation right now, we're having a talk on soulmate. It's a thing, and what is this? And we're beginning to get agitated, we're getting upset, we're getting all of these feelings we're doing. Next thing you know, maybe in the next generation, have a more opening to the idea of there should just be one other. Like right here, we're probably creating a huge impact. It could be a lot of spirits. One of the prayers I like to do for earthbound spirits is praying for their soulmates to come find them. So that the very idea, the recognition to the earthbound spirit is that you have soulmates who are probably looking for you, who probably want to be with you. Just the power of that. I have a spirit guides that the soulmate relationship was what saved the other. That kind of like, you kind of see that. And if who I believe is my soulmate, then God sent him to me pretty early to save me, because I was done for, and his attention, his finding me, was probably a compensation for the damage I received. Potentially, I'm just working it out. And there's some links being offered here. So there is Divine Truth Files, where Rachel is mentioned. There's a whole
The one that I linked is the one with Rachel, the Q&A about soulmates.
Perfect. So I'm just gonna put that on.
How do you save the chat?
Sorry?
how do you save the chat so you can get to those links?
I know, I don't know if you can save the chat in this talk, but this is from 2011, 28 September at 2 p.m. So if you go to 2011, 28 September in the Divine Truth video, you'll find it's an audio. It's just an audio recording, a beautiful conversation by a channeling by Rachel in Rachel Soulmate. Is it Timothy? And then I'll put it in our WhatsApp group. I'll put these videos in our WhatsApp group so that the conversation can continue. And so we're obviously going to continue the same talk next week. How's that for everybody? We got a lot to unpack, and as
Yeah,
we're
awesome.
as we're all beginning to think about it now, we're all beginning to reflect, maybe have some conversation with our guides. Law of Attraction will bring more information to us. Maybe we'll start to open up to our guides by next week and get some answers too. Okay, wow, this is more exciting than I expected. Jill?
I just had a thought, since I'm the, I guess, resident sewer of the group. Who would like a t-shirt?
What's on the t-shirt?
The Soulmate Support Group.
That's awesome. I think we'll create a group. Let's do it. Anybody want to take it on? Anybody want to take on the Judith? Go ahead.
Yeah, yes, I
just-
want Andy.
I'm sorry, I interrupted somebody.
Judith, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Reading Helen's message, it was like she's telling about soulmates that to him and knows what a soulmate is. And even today, many people don't know what a soulmate is or even believe it.
Yeah.
Some people do, but
yeah. I did a mediumship once about that with a group of spirits. Can't remember what came out of that. Yeah, that'd be an interesting one to do mediumship about.
yeah, but it would be good to wear a t-shirt because I'm sure we'd get some questions. Get it out there.
Oh my
Well,
god!
I think I was joking, but I can make
Support
t-shirts.
Oh my god, that would be
Let me
like,
tell you.
because we have this fantasy of like soulmate, because my fantasy is it's his job to love me. That's the first issue I'm starting with. The first addiction. It's your job to love me. I'm like, oh boy, this could take a couple of years of addiction work right here. So most of us go into the fantasy of it, the job description, and how much that addiction repel the soulmate. As well as feelings of soulmate marketing. Oh my god, this is awesome. As well as the feeling of unworthiness, as Susie was talking about, how much that will repel soulmate too. Okay, we will continue this next week. So